Hi, it's Aaron Lerner.
Yes, hi, Aaron. How are you?
Fine. I'd like to ask you some questions for IMRA about what happened yesterday, if I may.
Okay.
So, again, your position. What's your official position inside the organization?
I'm the co-founder and international director of Manhigut Yehudit.
Okay, and it's Sacket. Now,
Sacket, S-A-C-K-E-T-T, right.
Okay. Is there any connection between Moshe Feiglin, Manhigut Yehudit, and the flyer relating to the Temple Mount that calls, the quote is, "Let us purify this place from the enemies of Israel who rob lands and build the temple on the ruins of the mosque"? Is it?
Absolutely not. Let me explain to you what happened. Every single month, Moshe Feiglin ascends the Temple Mount in accordance with both halachic law and Israeli law on the 19th of the Hebrew month. Yud Tet L'Chodesh, every single month for the last, I would say, 7 or 8 years. And every week, Moshe's organization, Manhigut Yehudit, sends out a weekly newsletter to its 17,000 plus email subscribers and updating the weekly events. Every single month in the issue before the Temple Mount ascent, before the 19th of the Hebrew month, Moshe invites people to come with him and join with him as he ascends the Temple Mount according to halacha and Israeli law. And that's it. He invited people to come with him as he does. Yesterday was the 19th of the Hebrew month of Shvat. Moshe said, please join with me at the entrance to Har Bayit at 7:30 in the morning after being tovel in the mikveh and wearing non-leather shoes. He also wrote, if someone needs to understand the halachic process, consult with somebody from the Machon HaMikdash and meet me at 7:30 as he goes every single month. And he has anywhere between 20 and 40 people going up with him on a monthly basis. That was it. That was the email that he sent. Some person took that email and twisted it and added crazy words to it that Moshe never said, never wrote, never mentioned.
Well, let me ask you this. Is there anything in the text of this flyer that Moshe Feiglin objects to?
Please read to me the flyer. I never saw
it. It says, "Let us purify this place from the enemies of Israel who rob lands and build the temple on the ruins of the mosque."
Moshe is not looking to build a temple. That's not his task. That is the task for Mashiach. Moshe has stated many, many times that he is trying to get the people ready to want that day, yearn for that day, pray for that day, hope for that day. But Moshe has no plans of building the Beit HaMikdash.
This is in the hands of a higher authority, so to speak.
Higher authority. And Moshe has even stated when he was on television with Rina Tzror, in Israeli television, I believe it was Channel 10 a few years ago, and Moshe has a picture of the Beit HaMikdash behind him on his wall in the office that he works. And he said to him, Tzror said to him, do you want to build a Beit HaMikdash? And he says, yes, I do. He says, but I can't. He says, why not? He says, I can only build it when you also want it as well. And my job is to make you and have that same dream. When you have that dream of building the Beit HaMikdash, then we can do it, not before. It's my job to educate you about what we need to dream about.
Wait, so is that to say that if there was an Israeli consensus to build the temple, that would suffice for building the temple?
I have no idea what would suffice. The dream is what Jews have prayed for the last 2,000 years, to rebuild the Beit HaMikdash. How it's going to happen, that I have no idea. It's our job to educate people to dream about it.
At the beginning, a moment ago when we were talking, there was an indication that this was subject to the Messiah being involved.
And then I said the Messiah. It's our dream. It's our dream, as it is your dream, to build a Beit HaMikdash. In terms of with the kind of halakha, is Moshe Feiglin taking a hammer and nails and architectural plans? No, he's not. We are praying for it. We are davening for it, as every Torah-believing Jew has done for the last 2,000 years. This is what we're doing. How it's going to happen, I have no idea.
So it is possible that it could happen without, I don't want to choose the term supernatural, but we're talking about a messianic presence or something. We're certainly talking about something that's beyond the scope of having a national referendum where the overwhelming majority of Israeli voters voted a referendum in favor of tearing down the mosques and rebuilding the temple.
I don't think the temple is going to be rebuilt by a referendum. I think that's ridiculous to even think that way.
When did the flyer come to the group's attention?
We saw it on the media, but we saw it by the media. Never saw it before.
No, I'm saying in terms of timing. This was before the morning of the event.
Yeah, they were reporting it on the news last Friday. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know the source. Nothing.
I'm on your group's mailing list.
Hold on just one second. David, I'm on the phone. I'll call you right back. Sorry, go on. Yes.
I'm on your group's mailing list. I don't know if I'm on your public. I'm not on. Maybe on IMRA may not be on the list for notices to the press. But I didn't receive anything from your mailing list disassociating the group from this flyer prior to the event. Did you guys put out a notice to the press or anything like that before the event?
No. Why should we do it? Every idiot that puts out a flyer, we have to send a press release disassociating ourselves from it.
Well,
what we do is what we do. What other people do, they do.
You yourself just said that you became aware of it because it was covered by the press.
It was covered by the press on Friday, and when people called us and asked us, as you're calling me, we said we have nothing to do with it.
Why didn't you? You're talking about something that was getting press in the Arab world, very, very broad press. Why didn't you put out a press release disassociating yourself from the flyer at that time?
Because as a matter of policy, we don't do that. Ein ledavar sof, as we say in Hebrew. There's no end to it. They'll come out with 14 flyers every single day, and we'll have to keep disassociating ourselves from it. We don't do that. If somebody asks me, I'll tell you if it was ours or not ours. We have a website, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have our own email list. We don't hide what we do. We do nothing illegal. Everything is above board, 100%. Somebody takes the flyer and sends it out, so that's their right to do it. When somebody asks, do we have anything to do with it, the answer was no.
Let's look at 2020 hindsight. If you had known that taking such an action, which would have created a situation that the authorities wouldn't have blocked Moshe Feiglin from going up to the Temple Mount because the issue had been neutralized. In 2020 hindsight, would it have made sense perhaps to have disassociated with that press release?
No, not at all. For the very simple reason that, as I mentioned to you, there'll be no end to it. Then all of a sudden, that's the worst thing to do, because then all of a sudden we'll disassociate ourselves from one flyer. But how come we didn't disassociate ourselves from this flyer or from that flyer or from this press release or from that statement?
Well, you might want, as a matter of policy, that any piece of information that came out about your organization, which receives international press coverage, deserves a response.
No, we don't believe that, and that will never be our policy. We're not in the react mode. Moshe Feiglin has been public with his views for the last 15 years. Every single person knows that he's a man of nonviolence. He's a man of peace. He's a man who tells you exactly how it is, has written more about the Temple Mount and the peace process and everything than all other right-wing politicians combined. So the fact that our positions are clear, are public, we don't need to hide, we don't need to explain, and we certainly don't need to apologize.
So there's no plans to file a complaint with the police against the people who put out this?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Let me just close with this question. We had a situation that the entire Arab world was using this information in order to incite, in order to create a very tricky situation, a situation that could have conceivably had very serious consequences. I'm looking, I'm looking at the Arab press. I'm looking at both the PLO's official news agency, Hamas official news agency, the Iranian official news agency, everybody and their brother pouncing on this, waiting for, hoping to exploit this in order to lead to an incendiary situation. Forget the interests of Manhigut Yehudit or Moshe Feiglin. From the standpoint of from a national, I would say, security standpoint, why wouldn't you want to take a step that reduces what could be a serious security threat for Israel?
Because I don't believe for 1 second one word that you just said. You said
wait, you're not telling me that it wasn't in Wafa, that it wasn't in all of these, that it wasn't covered by all of these news agencies?
That's not what I'm debating. I'm debating that Hamas is looking for a provocative action in order to have a reason to kill and slaughter Jews. That Iran is looking for things. You hear what you asked me? That the PLO news agency, the PLO doesn't exist. There's no such thing. Hamas doesn't exist. These are a bunch of Jew haters who want to kill Jews on a 24-hour basis and fill the streets of Tel Aviv and Netanya with Jewish blood, rivers of Jewish blood. I have to apologize to them. I have to explain to them that there's no justification for the flyer. These people want to cut my children to pieces, God forbid, and every single Jew in all the state of Israel. So
let me do it a different way. If there had been an advertisement that says that Moshe Feiglin is offering girls, bare-chested girls, with a big ad showing him kissing a bunch of bare-chested girls, and it says this is the real Moshe Feiglin, and this is what he's doing, and look what he's doing here, and look what he's doing there, and they're having sex parties at meetings of Manhigut Yehudit, and that's really what's going on, and actually their groups are driving around on Shabbat to come to meetings, and on and on and on. By the same token, you would just sit back and
ignore it. You would completely ignore it. If anybody believes after the 15 years of what Moshe has written and spoken and the books that he's published and the websites and everything that we do, if they believe that there's any justification to that, then they're stupider than I thought. We are not going to start spending our time, trying to explain or trying to distance ourselves from people that put out things that they put out in order to delegitimize us. We are who we are. We stand for truth, and people know who we are, respect us. We're a rising force in Israeli politics today, and we're not going to get onto the level of apologizing or distancing ourselves from a couple of idiots who put out things that have nothing to do with us.
One last question. Do you think that the government of Israel should follow this same approach in its Hasbara, in explaining?
100%. That's exactly been the problem. We have always been reacting. We've always been running after the world. No, that's not how it is. We've always been groveling before the world on our knees, trying to explain ourselves. You yourself said to the PLO, bunch of murderers, to Hamas, bunch of people that literally want to slit Jewish children, Jewish babies as they did into the Fogel family. And we have to explain ourselves to these murderers, to these savages. God forbid. The state of Israel has to stand up proud, has to stand up with its policies, with its ideology. And if you want to draw funny cartoons with Jews with big noses, gesundheit, do whatever you want. We will put out the truth. We will stand for true justice, Torah values, Jewish pride, and that's when the world will respect us. Not when we apologize to Ahmadinejad or Hamas or PLO.